X-Men 97. How y'all feeling? So I thought now that a few more episodes have come out, I would talk some more about X-Men 97. I already did a video about the first 3 episodes that I got to see before the series came out. Now I'm talking about episode 4 and 5. I'm not going to do a complete play-by-play. I'm just going to talk about how these episodes made me feel and some of the specific parts about them that I thought was pretty interesting. Unlike the last video, which I was a little bit more spoiler-free because the show had not been out yet in full, this one I'm going to be a little bit more spoilery because the episodes are out. So spoiler alert, this will have spoilers for X-Men 97 all the way up to episode 5. Episode 6 is probably out by now, by the time this video comes out. So I'm going to save that for a later video. And I'm also going to add the second part of episode 4 to that talk, because the second part of episode 4 is connected to episode 6 as a part 1, part 2. So they'll have this own video. This one is about the video game episode and the episode that destroyed all of us, including the X-Men. Damn. Let's get to the fun part first. Let's talk about the video game episode. So episode 4 might feel like a filler episode to some, but I personally thought it was a very good episode to have, because what it reminded me of was that the X-Men video games were also substantial in learning about the X-Men just as much as the cartoon. If you did not know who the X-Men were for the comic books, I feel like in the 90s, the cartoon and the video games is what established our knowledge of the X-Men. Because you had the X-Men beat 'em up game that was kind of like the Ninja Turtles arcade game, but just with the X-Men characters. And then you had the X-Men fighting games, which led to the X-Men versus Street Fighter, and then eventually Marvel versus Capcom. Like, that's how I learned a lot about not only X-Men characters, but Marvel characters. Thank you, Capcom. Those games are very helpful. So I thought it was really neat that they would have an X-Men episode, even though it was half an episode, to sort of pay homage to that. And of course, it made sense to make Mojo the villain. It's funny, so I am personally watching the new X-Men 97 series and simultaneously binge watching the original X-Men animated series. I know it's a weird way to watch them at the same time, but I have seen episodes of the original series, but not every episode, particularly the later seasons of X-Men. I didn't see as much of. So it's been kind of fun to watch the old series while simultaneously watching these new episodes as they come out. And it's funny because I had just seen, I think, the second appearance of Mojo pop up in the old animated series, to then see him pop up in this one. But seeing as he's this character that's always trying to create ratings and entertainment for his followers slash slaves, making him do the whole thing of like, it's the 90s, video games are a big thing now. I thought that was very interesting. I love the video game console that they showed in this, which was called a Motendo, like Nintendo, but it looked like a Sega Genesis at the same time. I thought that was really neat. And the whole concept behind this is it's Jubilee's birthday. She wants to do something fun, but Magneto's like, no, for your birthday, you do train, because you never know what might happen. Like, say, the next episode. Jubilee wants to have fun. She's hanging out with a new kind of possible boyfriend, and they get sucked into the video game, just like Captain in the Game Master. I loved the sprite animation that they did for the video game portions of this episode. Listen to me, Disney, Marvel, hear me out. Take that section, contact somebody. That needs to be a video game. That X-Men game that they played in this episode needs to be a real video game. Bring back that nostalgia of playing those old X-Men games like this. That's money, yo. That's money. Disney, I know you like money. That's money right there, Disney. Disney Plus game subscription. Let's get it started. But I need that to be a game, for real. Someone needs to make an X-Men video game just like that. X-Men 97, the video game, beat 'em up style. Choose your character, start fighting Sentinels and whoever else. Let's go. Let's do this. All the animation, all the styles of that, the way they were showing the cut scene of panning down through the city, it felt so much like those classic arcade beat 'em up fighting games. I was loving it. It reminded me of the X-Men game, Ninja Turtles, Double Dragon, Final Fight, Streets of Rage, all those types of games. I was feeling those vibes when watching this. Loved it. That made my arcade video game console heart very happy. So I was really much enjoying that. I could have had a whole episode of that, but I understand that they were like, you know what, let's make it half an episode. Once you kind of get the references, get the idea, it's enough. But I really enjoyed it. I especially love that one part Mojo came out of that arcade cabinet and it looked like the old school X-Men arcade cabinet. I thought that was really awesome. I just love that attention to detail. And obviously it was so sweet that they had this character that was kind of like a future digital Jubilee, and she was voiced by Allison Court, who was the original voice of Jubilee in the original animated series. I think the new actress that's doing Jubilee is doing a great job. I think the Jubilee still feels like the character that she was in the 90s with a different voice, but obviously it was cool to hear the original voice of Jubilee in the episode as well. That was a neat nod. I think she's also doing other characters as well.
What do you say we destroy Mojo's game and get you two lovebirds out of here?
I think it's a really nice gesture that some of the characters that aren't voicing their original characters that are still living, they're finding other characters for them to voice in this series so they can still be a part of it in some way as respectful. I appreciate that. Obviously, this was a very Jubilee focused episode, but I thought that she held it on very good. I love Roberto's feelings throughout the whole video game aspect. And I also thought it was kind of neat that a lot of the video game levels were based on classic X-Men episodes. It was almost like they were using her memories to create levels for this. Like there was a whole part where they were at Genosha, but it was back when Genosha was like, you were trapped and had to work versus what it is now until what it becomes. It was just a very fun episode. I feel like, especially after the crazy haunted wildness that happened in episode 3 with all these weird imagery and horror-filled elements and the Goblin Queen and finding out that Jean has a clone, Madeline Pryor, and all that kind of stuff going on. The baby in a tube, Mr. Sinister basically trying to suck the life force out of a baby like he's freaking Vigo from Ghostbusters 2. Like, after all of that, it's nice to be like, hey, an episode with some video game references. Yay, fun. Only to prepare us for what episode 5 was about to bring. So here's what's funny about me in episode 5. Usually when I'm watching it on TV or I'm watching it on my computer, but with the speakers on. For some reason this time I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put on my surround sound headphones. I'm gonna have that right in my ear. Watching episode 5 with all the sounds right here in your ear was a very interesting experience. The emotions were felt. What's crazy about episode 5 is that I was into it before the chaos began because it shows very clearly something I've said about X-Men, the original series, as well as this new series. You can call it a superhero show, you can call it an animated series, you can call it whatever you want, Marvel show, whatever. At the end of the day, X-Men, including X-Men 97, is a soap opera. And this episode was pure soap opera goodness. You got Beast doing an interview with the reporter, but seeming to have a little bit of a crush on the reporter. You got Jean confessing her feelings towards Logan and then kissing Logan, kissing Wolverine, knowing that he likes you because you did that thing a couple episodes ago where you touched his head and got his thoughts and was like, oh, you felt this way the whole time? So she kissed him and then Wolverine was like, you know, I want that, but you with Scott, so I can't do that. I'm gonna be cool with Scott. Meanwhile, Scott is having a freaking telepathic affair with Madeline Pryor because even though he's in love with Jean Grey, he's been with Madeline Pryor for this whole time and had a baby with her and has a connection with her. And then Jean's like, but you doing our thing. The telepath loving is our thing. You gonna do that with somebody else while she out in Genosha somewhere? What? And he's all like, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Do you love me? Do I love you? What's going on? Dang!
How long has it been happening?
You're Jean Grey.
Do you love me, Jean?
He's Scott Summers.
I know what I saw.
Those are the rules.
One other thing I gotta say about Scott, man. Scott went off in that interview.
You're ungrateful. We fight, risk our lives for you. Evil mutants, robots, crazy aliens.
Everything he was saying was legit because that man went off like, we constantly save y'all. We save y'all from other mutants. We save y'all from evil scientists. We save y'all from space aliens. And we still gotta go up in here and do all these interviews acting like we the people that you gotta accept in your life. After we help you all the time, you be nothing without us.
You can't say thank you because I have to stomach your questions and prove that I'm a person. The truth is we're nothing like you. Thank God, because it's the only reason you people are still alive.
Oh man, I love that whole part because I just love seeing this version of Cyclops, baby. It is so nice. But then at the same time, man was cheating on Jean with Madeline, but at the same time not, because that's who he was with, but still he was with Jean. Meanwhile, Jean kissing Logan. Then while all that is happening, you got Magneto. People at Genosha like, Magneto, you need to run things around here. And then you got all the council people being like, really? You gonna let Magneto run this thing? You gonna let a terrorist be a ruler? He's like, but you let your rulers be terrorists. I'm like, damn, Magneto with them comebacks. And then Magneto's all like, well, I can't be a king in this place without a queen. Hey, Rogue, you know how I'm like basically the only one that can touch you without having the power sucked away? I think you'd be my queen. And she's like, that sounds tempting. And then Gambit's like, but mon ami, I thought we had a thing. And she's like, I love you, Gambit, but I can't touch you. I can touch him. And he watching them dancing the Ace of Base and everything, and they freaking touching, and Gambit gotta watch the whole thing and walk away, only for her to eventually be like, nah, I can't be with you. I got that Gambit love. I can't touch him, but I just love him. I'm sorry, Magneto. Oh, I love it. It's so juicy and nasty. And look, y'all, remember, this is television. This is entertainment. I always love whenever something like this happens in the show, everyone has to act like they're freaking psychoanalysts now, like everyone's a therapist. And it's like, well, my diagnosis is that so-and-so should never done that. And that's toxic. That person did that. And that's this. It's entertainment. They're supposed to mess up. They're supposed to be this way. What, you want them all to be kumbaya and hold hands? They gotta be messed up. That's what makes it fun. Now I'm sounding like Mojo. It's ratings, baby, ratings. That's why they're all messed up. That's why you have these relationships, entanglement. That's what the people want. Everybody got their monologue on. Magneto, every time he talks is a freaking monologue, and I love it. Shakespeare it up, dude. Like every single time you talk, I'm like, go on, give me your speech. Tell me how we humans are so bad. Oh, we humans, we so bad to mutants. Oh, we're so naughty to mutants. Tell me, Magneto. So yeah, with all the soap opera stuff, I was into it. I was already like, yo, this is one of the best episodes. They are bringing in the drama. They're bringing in the relationship, the who's going to be with who, all that soap opera stuff, as well as having this elegant gala at the same time. They even bringing in a little bit of political intrigue. Then you got the fun stuff with Nightcrawler popping up, being like, hey, what's happening? There's X-Men cameos scattered throughout the background. The Morlocks were there. I think Dazzler was there. It's like, you got all this fun stuff going on. And they wrong too for making Genosha look so nice. Like everyone's having a good time. You can tell those mutants are so happy. That's the most free they've ever felt because they always have so much persecution from the humans. But like they're feeling so good now, and now they're gonna be recognized by the United Nations. Like they're just so happy. Everything's apparently expensive there. They noticed, but everything is so nice there, or should I say everything was so nice there. In X-Men fashion, you know someone's gonna mess up. I just didn't know what was gonna happen. I just knew something bad was about to happen. I just didn't know what, and I definitely didn't think to this type of scale. But then I looked in the sky in one of the scenes and I saw that freaking Watcher. I don't know if you noticed this, but in one scene real quick, they show the sky and you can see the Watcher in the sky. And I was like, if that dude is there watching this thing, something definitely going down. Because I've watched enough episodes of What If to know if the Watcher is watching, there's going to be problems. And of course, he can't interfere. Oh, I'm the Watcher. I can't interfere. Unless Captain Carter is here and they'll interfere every single time. But other than that, I can't interfere. And then Cable runs himself out, coming from the future, being like, oh, get out of here. Stop the music. I'm sorry, Mom. And disappears. And she's like, sorry for what? And I was like, oh, damn. I feel it coming. But boy, even though I felt it coming, I still was not prepared on how it came and how hard it was. Boy, that freaking three-headed sentinel coming out looking like a Boston album cover, zapping everything, just annihilating, just zap, building exploding, mutants just turning into dust. This was some straight up Infinity War shit. I was like, what is going on? I was waiting for Tom Holland to come out and be like, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. Like it was getting rough, man. Mutants just getting annihilated. Oh, just the amount of damage that was happening. And the thing that made it really hurt was usually we see stuff like this and it's a bunch of random background characters, but like we were seeing close-ups of characters that we have seen, not some of the major characters yet, but at least like the Morlocks and some random mutants that we've seen in previous episodes of either this series or the original series, seeing them like they're clearly dead. It was like, oh my gosh, this is real. And it just kept going. Creator of the show, he talked about this as a really good set of messages that he put out about like that's how it was meant to be. Number of tragedies that we've had in our world, wanted to have that kind of effect happen when watching this episode, and it worked. Oh my gosh. And then Rogue tries to stop Magneto because he's got a bunch of mutants around him and he's holding back. And then she wants to help, and he like moves Metal to stop her because he doesn't want her hurt. And he looks down at, was it Leech or whatever? He looks at him like, you don't have to be afraid anymore. Because that was something that Leech was like, oh, we don't have to be afraid anymore. He's like, you don't have to be afraid anymore. Damn. Just reminding myself of it hurts. Destroyed all these mutants. Now Magneto's gone along with these mutants around him. That's bad. And then the show was like, nah, we got more. Cause the big giant three-headed freaking King Ghidorah of Sentinels is up in the air still. So freaking Gambit goes off. And Gambit, it was so cool in this episode because Gambit was the one that kept being like, no, we got to go back and save others and bring them with us, which I thought was a very noble thing of him to do. Gambit goes off, runs towards that thing. They stab him right when he's jumping. He's like, oh.
God's always be in my favor.
And then he grabs that spike and he just looks at him. He goes, the name's Gambit. Remember it. As his charge powers up, because you know when Gambit touched something, that means that charge gonna get on him. And it's like, well, you touched him, three-headed Sentinel. You touched him, Triclide. Put that power right into your three heads and go, remember it.
The name's Gambit. Remember it.
Oh, dude. And then when he's down on the ground and Rogue has him in her arms and she's all like, sugar, I can't feel you. And they do that over Black.
Sugar, I can't feel you.
And then bring in that boom at the end credits. I was like, what is I think I said what the fuck 17 times throughout that whole thing. Like every single time I was just like, what the fuck? I was just, so what is going on this episode? And it's so like perfect in how it was presented, like how it showed up in the course of the series, because all the episodes up to this has been, hey, it's nostalgia. Oh my God, remember the old X-Men series? It's like going back to the 90s. Oh, I'm living my childhood. And this episode was like, adulthood, go! And just was like, oh, the reality set in. It ain't like back in the day no more. Collectively destroyed the childhoods in this one episode, but like in a good way. Oh my God, it was so good. And they even was kind of hinting at it a couple of times, like even in the Jubilee episode, Mojo was all like, oh, Jubilee, you can be in my video game and stay young forever and just keep reliving your wonderful past over and over again, your nostalgia basically. And eventually through the episode, you learn like, no, you gotta grow. You gotta make mistakes. You gotta live life. You're gonna have challenges. There's gonna be bad times and good times, but you gotta go through that.
I know a part of you wants to hang here, but that's not living. Living doesn't get cheat codes.
They like kind of hinted at that. Then for episode 5, they go, here's an example. Oh man. Now, of course, with all this sadness, with all this hurt, we are dealing with X-Men. We are dealing with Marvel. We are dealing with characters like Bishop and Cable who can time travel. So obviously anything could happen to reset this. I mean, even Avengers Infinity War, when they got the end game, what happened? They traveled through time. So of course anything's possible. Don't be that person that's like, they can possibly travel through time and fix it. I don't know what you're so emotional about. Emotions are emotions. Let us have them, okay? But it's very, very possible that any of these characters could definitely make a comeback, you know? So understandable this could all be retconned in some kind of way, or at least a portion of it. But for the time being, for right now, this is impactful. This is a perfect example of why weekly episodes can sometimes still need to be a thing. You know, like I know we're always wanting to have the whole binge, we want all the episodes at one time, but this is an example of having to watch something like this and sit on that for a week. Whoo! That was something. It was so emotional, man. It was so strong. And look, I don't have a problem with Marvel the movies. Like I know some people like want to hate on Marvel the movies now. I think that ever since Endgame, they've had some really good stuff. They've had some so-so stuff. And they've had Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. But I'm just saying. And the last episode of Secret Invasion. But I'm just saying. Look at this show. Because I'm just saying. I've definitely had some emotions from Marvel films. But this right here, this animated series, based on an animated series that aired Saturday morning on Fox Kids Network, probably is one of the most emotional feelings I have had in quite some time with entertainment in general. There's a lot of stuff I watch and go, hey, I'm having a good time. Hey, that's fun. Or even, hey, that made me sad. But this was like roller coaster. To go from nostalgia, I'm having a great time, whoa, that was scary, to, oh my God. You know, that is some good stuff. And when you can do it so seamlessly like that, when it feels like you can go from one emotion to the next and it doesn't feel forced, it doesn't feel like it comes out of nowhere, it all makes sense in the connection of things. Oh, X-Men 97. I mean, this is legit gonna be probably one of my favorite things to watch this year. This is some good shit. This is a good show, and I'm just hoping, I am praying that it stays on this level, and I think it is. And then didn't like one of the creators say like this is not even the biggest thing yet, like there's more to come? Like they're like, oh, this is a tip of the iceberg or something like that. I swear I saw that quoted somewhere that like they were like, oh, this is just the beginning. And I'm like, the beginning? Then I hate to see the end. Or actually, I don't hate to see, I want to see the end. Let me see the end, but I'm still gonna hate whatever the end is. And then they put out some promo that has Captain America's shield in it. What? What are you doing, show? What is going on? And let me just say this. I love this episode so much. I thought episode 5 was, it's a masterclass, they say, in storytelling, and every episode leading up to this episode was great setup. But I'm glad we have episodes like this, but I also am not expecting now every episode after it to be like this. I know that sometimes when we have those moments, like that's how I feel about Endgame, like we had that whole moment where we all went crazy, we all cheered and everything, and then we somehow thought that every single Marvel thing after that was supposed to give us the same feeling. No, that's why those feelings are so good, because they're special events, they're special moments. If the next couple of episodes are more build up to the next big thing, that's okay. That's not filler. That's not a downer episode. That's not losing his touch. It's like, no, it's just building blocks to the next thing. Oh man, you know these mutants are gonna go off now, dude. Like Magneto supposedly is gone, but let's just assume, let's say he comes back. If Magneto comes back somehow and he remembers that this happened, y'all done. Y'all, he told y'all in episode 2, he's doing a favor for Charles. Charles said, hey, buddy, do this for me. And he's like, you know what? We've butted heads, but you my buddy. I'm going to do this for you. But he reminded them, but don't forget who I am and what I have done and what I can do. Don't mess with me. And they mess with him. And supposedly he's gone. But I'm just saying, if he somehow comes back and he remembers that this happened, I pray for all humanity. Y'all about to get that comeback. Y'all about to get that Godzilla -1 treatment, man. Oh my God. So what'd you think of X-Men 97? Are you enjoying the show as much as I am? I hope so. And if you haven't checked it out, give it a shot. I'll definitely talk about some more episodes. I don't have any specific schedule with this series. I'm just kind of talking as it feels fit to talk. So I appreciate you listening. Thanks for listening to my rambling about this and just having fun with me, reminiscing about sadness and emotional damage while also nostalgia. Yay, fun. Sounds like my entire life. Emotional damage that nostalgia tries to wrap up, but can't always hide that emotional damage. Oh my God. Okay, we're getting too real now. I gotta go. Bye. Love you like a play cousin.